y'all are from Alabama. So how did y'all get together?
We all, well, four of us met at school at Auburn, and then we picked up Bo in Nashville in 2014.
Yeah, that's right.
Awesome.
And so, yeah, we all met at school at Auburn University, and then moved up to Nashville in 2012.
All right.
And found Bo hiding at Belmont.
Cool. Well, first of all, let me say War Eagle. Let me get that out.
War Eagle, brother.
I'm just saying. Yeah, that's good to hear. Yeah, I don't get to interview people from Auburn fans and people from Alabama too much. So that's awesome, man. War Eagle. Yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah.
I'm excited about the new coach and the new season. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, me too. Well, it's always it's always good to have a new beginning.
Yeah.
Because you just don't know.
You just don't.
There's an excitement to that.
Hey, if we do halfway decent and beat Alabama, we'll
That's a good season.
Right, it's a good season. So, all right. Well, so y'all came together, and let's see. And your sound, you kind of sound like your country, your rock and roll, your blues. What would you describe your sound as?
It's changing all the time. I mean, each album has its kind of own sound. Our last record had a very like Americana rock feel. This one's got kind of a country soul feel. I mean, we all like a ton of different music. I mean, with streaming services now, you can be tapped into tons of different genres, and we all listen to a wide variety of music. So we really just play what sounds good to us. Okay. Wouldn't you say, Bo?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it kind of started out more Southern rock, and we're like Southern rock and then alt country, and then we also like to get a little funky sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like kind of a combination of Tom Petty, Allman Brothers, Little Feat, and Atlanta Rhythm Section.
Oh, cool.
That kind of stuff.
Awesome. That should appeal to a lot of fans. I mean, you're going to have all kinds of fans listening if you can play all kinds of music, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's great, man. That's cool. So you're talking about different styles. So when you were growing up, who were your influences? Who did you say were your top influences when you were younger?
Mine was a lot of country growing up. I mean, being from Dothan, Alabama, we had, it was either country or rap on the radio. And I was a good mix between both of them. A lot of Garth Brooks, Alan Jackson, some Bone Thugs and Harmony.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That's kind of what I started with. And then, my musical taste kind of evolved and really got into the Beatles later on in life in college. And then my favorite all-time band is Kings of Leon.
Oh, awesome. And so what about you, Bo?
Growing up, my dad played a lot of Chicago.
Oh, cool.
Grew up heavy on that. Kind of like, I mean, I guess they were very eclectic, So there's a lot to unpack with 4 decades of Chicago at the time. So it's like they were a fusion band, but also a pop band.
Yeah.
Depending on what decade you listen to.
Right.
But yeah, it's a lot of that. And then growing up like in the 90s and 2000s, like a lot of alternative rock, like Counting Crows, Gin Blossoms, Black Crows.
Yeah.
And then 2000s came around. I was like, everybody's listening to the Foo Fighters and Kings of Leon.
Right.
I mean, that's what we're all listening to.
Right. That's
yeah.
Do these influences show up in y'all's music? Do you think? I mean, a lot of times you think, I didn't realize that was that, but suddenly you're playing or you're writing a song, and something pops up, and you're like, yeah, that's one of my influences. Does that happen to you?
Oh, all the time.
Yeah.
I'll be playing I'll be writing stuff on the whirly, and I'll have to ask our co-writer and my roommate Ross, like, dude, is this original or is this a Jackson Brown riff? It's a Jackson Brown. It's a Jackson Brown riff.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
that happens.
You can sneak those in sometimes if if they're not too. Yeah. Just
You can
don't
sneak
tell
them in
anybody.
sometimes.
Don't tell anybody. Yeah. Don't make a note of it and say this is a Jackson Brown riff I stole. Yeah.
It's like that's how you know when to stop. I'm gonna stop myself right there.
Yeah. Later, is it? Can we listen on the new album? Are we going to be listening for the Jackson Brown riff? And
No, I made sure there's no Jackson.
I'm going to call him and say, listen to this new album. It's awesome. Wink, wink. No, I'm kidding. No.
Our buddy's name's Ross, so I Ross checked everything.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
There you go. You got somebody
Yeah.
that goes through there and checks it all out, and that's good. Like an editor or so. Well,
Yeah.
I guess that it does happen sometimes. Do you ever play in and you go, you have to kind of copy. I mean, if you think about it, hasn't everything been done kind of? So it's kind of like you take some of this and some of that and mix it so nobody can say you stole it. So if you take a little bit of Jackson Brown and mix it with Tom Petty or something, they can't say you stole it. So right?
I mean, definitely.
Right.
You only have so much to work with. I mean, there's only like 7 major notes in the major key scale, and there's only, we're all human. We're all working with basically the same things,
right?
Mentally. So I mean, at some point, we're going, somebody's going to end up doing and there's only so many things that sound good combined together. So
right.
It kind of does put everybody in a little bit of a box of what's appropriate and what feels right.
Right. And when y'all are writing songs, how is the songwriting process for y'all? Do you come up with some lyrics in your mind and you go, hey, I got some of these lyrics, I got this riff, I got this. How does it come together for you?
So it's either like Danny will write a whole song, music and lyrics, or I'll write a whole song, music and lyrics. Or recently, like on this record, it's been a lot of like me writing music and Danny writing the lyrics, or Richard writing the music and Danny writing the lyrics, and then our buddy Ross he wrote like 2 or 3 songs on this new record that are all him. So it's pretty much those 4 combinations of how we do it.
Awesome. So how did y'all get your start? How did y'all really get noticed out there and really, come to fame, so to speak? How did everybody start saying, hey, I got to check this band out? When did that really happen for you?
I think it started with what we're made of, like 2016. Like, what do you think, Danny?
Yeah, I mean, we've been touring hard mainly in the Southeast since day one. But yeah, I really think that when we put the product out of what we're made of, which was in 2016, and started really touring behind that, that was the first record that Bo was with us, and so we were kind of like a new group coming out with, not a drastically different sound, but it was more. That's when I first picked up acoustics, and now you had an acoustic in there, and you have a brand new keyboard player. So it is kind of a different band and a different sound, and people just gravitated towards it. That was a real turning point, that record.
Awesome.
Yeah, I mean, that record we already had, like, Georgia Fire and Shaky Hands were already out, and a good bit of people already knew those songs, but not a lot of people, and I think what we're made of, like, carried itself, but it also carried the catalog from the past along with it.
Right. It carried that sound with it.
It carried the sound with it. Like, people might have come in for that record, but they might have found out about Shaky Hands, or vice versa. They might have been there for Shaky Hands and then came in on later on that record. But I think it kind of just propelled the whole thing that year. Things started changing a little bit.
So y'all still have the overall sound, but you're trying different things, and do you think you'll gain some new fans? You don't think some of your other fans might go, they don't sound like they did back then when they first came out? Do you think people will take it that way? I think
that happens. Yeah, that happens like every record. I mean, I definitely I think there's going to be a couple of people that are like, what is this?
Who are these guys?
Songs.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, well, who are these guys? But if they are saying, what is this on one song, the next song they'll be saying, oh yeah, this is them. So I mean, there's a few curveballs on the record that people may not expect, but I mean, we're all for it. Like, you know, we're all about this.
Well, and you can't please everybody. I know some people want you to sound the same way. Every record, song sound the same, right? Sound the same, or they want it to be different all the way. You know, it's just you can't please everybody. But I think, like you said, you know, when you're writing songs and times change, it's just whatever comes out, right? You don't sit down and go, I think I want to write a blues song. Does it happen like that, or just lyrics come and then you go, this is going to turn into this, or this?
Well, a lot of stuff that we put on this record, I mean, as far as from where I came from, like Bo said, there's a lot of collaborations on this record, and some of the more funky songs that have soul in them that Bo wrote the music to, I put the lyrics on there with them, and they went perfectly. But those lyrics were originally like country songs,
Wow.
And so I just took the lyrics because I love, you know, the structures and the lyrics that went with these country songs. And Bo starts playing this funky piano part, and I'm like, wait a second, I think I have something for that.
Right.
And you know, it just kind of it's conceived like that, and it turns out really cool sometimes. Not every time, but sometimes.
It's a pretty solid formula, though. I mean, we've never done it like this before, and that might be the key difference between this record and the ones before. Is that Danny was writing these country songs, you know, with the country guitar parts underneath, and then he kept the lyrics, you know, deleted the music, and I was just playing like soul riffs,
right?
And he put country lyrics on top of soul riffs, and it's a whole different thing than we've ever done before.
Awesome. That probably works out better as far as a song sounds, because I think if you put a song like in a box and say it's got to be country, or it's got to be rock and roll, or it's got to be this, you kind of limit yourself, right? So if you expand yourself, man, you can go anywhere and not hold back. I think those are the best songs, you know, to do. I'm looking forward to hearing all these songs too.
Yeah, I mean, we're excited about it. We've never really written like this before. I mean, most of the time it's been like kind of, we knew what we were doing from the get go, and it kind of was you know, the music was the music and the lyrics were the lyric. But now we're really collaborative, and we're just moving this over there, moving that over there, and it's uncharted territory for us creatively.
Right. And so the name Vagabond, what is that? What did that come from? How'd you get that name for the band, by the way?
It's just derived from vagabonds. We like the meaning of vagabonds being wanderers, and, you know, not really having a set home base, but always kind of moving around, which that kind of defined what we were doing from day one. We were always on the road.
Right.
So we liked that, and there was already a band named the Vagabonds, so we just put an E in there instead.
There you go. That's it.
Easy enough, right?
Yeah, you're right. It's not the Beatles, it's the Battles. That's right. That's it.
Yeah.
The Rolling Stains. Nah.
Yeah.
So, and you got a new album coming out, what, in September? Sinners and Saints, right? It's coming out. So, and you were saying this album is different than the rest. And what are some of the standouts that you think? What are some of your favorite moments on this album?
Well, we put out, let's see, 5 singles already, and those are the standouts, and we still have 2 more that we're going to put out before the record even drops. But I think we've already touched on like the songwriting aspect of it and just the different sound as opposed to previous albums.
Yeah.
It's just got a cool new sound, and it keeps it fun for us and keeps us on our toes, which I think, at least at live shows, it translates to the fans. You know, if you see us having a good time up there, you might pay attention a little bit closer to what's going on.
Right. And the song "Heartache and a Memory," right? What can you talk about that? What's the meaning behind that song?
It's basically a breakup song from the lyric standpoint. I mean, if you've ever been through a breakup, it's that time when you realize, okay, I'm going to break up with this person,
Right.
but I just don't want to do it right now.
Right.
And so it's that time in limbo where you're like, I know it's about to happen, but I'm still kind of hanging on to what was. So you have a heartache coming, but you're still in love with the memories that you've made with this person. So you're stuck between a heartache and a memory.
Wow, that's good. And so a song like that though, I mean, do they come from experiences, or is some of it made up? Is it all made up, or how does that work when you're writing songs? Does it, somebody can be listening one day and go, that song's about me, I know it.
Right. Yeah. For me, it's a lot of experience. I mean, I've written songs that I've made up as well, but the way that I write lyrically now is mainly from experience over a lifetime. It might not be something I'm going through right now. Like, I'm not going through a breakup right now. I'm happily married,
Right.
but I have been through bad breakups before, and I think it just manifests itself later on in life for me. And yeah, a lot of personal experience.
Yeah. And I was reading in the press release was talking about you've got a song called "Feels Right" and it sounds like Fleetwood Mac. Is that a big influence, Fleetwood Mac?
Yeah, it always is. As of recently, more so. But yeah, our buddy Ross wrote that song. And we're just like, I remember we asked him one night, I was like, "Hey man, can we play your song?" And I remember that night. He's like, "Yeah, y'all can play my song."
I guess so. Yeah, right.
I remember you asked him, Danny. I remember it was like, because we just kept talking about how good that song was.
Well, we have multiple songs from Ross on the album, and I was like, I mean, if we need another song, I know exactly which one we should do.
Yeah.
Because, from hearing it the very first time, in my mind, it's a hit. And so I'm like, we need to record that thing.
Wow.
Yeah.
So Ross is your go-to guy when you need a home run, right? There you go.
He's a good guy.
That's good.
He's
Great
our
writer.
boy.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And y'all did a cover of "You Wreck Me" by Tom Petty, which I'm a huge Tom Petty fan. I guess y'all are too, of course. He was, I guess, obviously influenced. And I know there can never be another Tom Petty, but don't you think there needs to be more of that kind of sound? I know you've got that sound too. Don't you think that's a popular sound that needs to be really put out there? Don't you think?
It wouldn't hurt. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know that there's so many, different kind of sounds. I don't know. I think you're talking about when you were growing up, it seemed to be more, I don't know, some of the music isn't like it used to be. And I think when you sound kind of like more of those kind of, like the Tom Petty, like you said, Americana, I think it appeals to more people. That's what I like about, songs like that. So yeah, he's definitely missed. Are you planning on doing any more covers or anything like that?
Yeah, we got an idea.
I think we'll always do covers. I think that's just part of that's the DNA of our band.
Yeah.
We started off as a cover band in college in 2009, and quickly started writing original songs. So covers will always be a part of something we do. And yeah, we have some really cool ideas coming up for our next cover project.
Oh, great! You got some? So you got anything you could share as far as the people of the covers that you might want to do?
It's still kind of top secret right now.
Oh, okay. It's a big deal here. Okay, I was going to say that's good. It's just the suspense,
Yeah,
is great. And y'all have opened for like Leonard Skinner and Greg Allman, Blackberry Smoke, people like that, right? What's some of those experiences been like for you? I mean, like Leonard Skinner, didn't you always want to play with those guys?
Yeah, it was kind of a crazy experience to share the stage with them and eat dinner with them backstage and just be around them. They're legendary, and especially in the Southern rock scene. I mean, they're kings. So to get that opportunity, and we got to play with Greg Allman, which is he's on the same level, and
Awesome.
just to see how they conduct themselves on stage, behind stage, it's really kind of an education.
Awesome. So whenever this pandemic, kind of messed things up, what do you fall back on as far as when you're not doing anything? What do you do in the downtime?
Write music. I started a business. But music's still heavily involved, even last year, because I think every musician can agree that music has always helped you through the toughest times of your life. That's why, anyway, for me, that's why I started playing music, periods, because it helps me express myself in ways that I can't.
Right. Have y'all had experiences where fans maybe have told you about a song that y'all wrote and it kind of helped them out? Has there been times like that before?
Oh yeah, some pretty intense ones. Like I remember somebody told us that he wanted to hear "Take a Ride" every night. It's a song from What We're Made Of, and this kid's dad just passed away, and he said he was listening to that every night.
Wow.
Yeah, and I've had a guy in Virginia Beach tell me that he was struggling really bad with suicidal thoughts, and our music helped him through that. I mean, when you hear a story like that, it really brings it back home to the fact of why you're doing what you're doing.
Right. Yeah, I'm sure it is. I'm sure that's part of your, of what you're trying to do. I guess you're trying to accomplish. You're trying to create art, but at the same time, you're trying to reach people and touch them and have them relate to what you're doing. Right.
Right.
And as far as the pandemic, it slowed you down, but you've got some dates coming up real soon, right?
Yeah, we just announced them today. Actually, we announced our leg one of the Sinners and Saints tour. It goes on from this weekend in Montana till December 31st in Atlanta.
Awesome. And but the new album comes out on the 24th.
September 24th.
All right. I'm looking forward to that. I know a lot of fans are excited about it. But talking about your fan base, though, I mean, since y'all are from Alabama and Nashville, you said, and I guess y'all played all over the Southeast, right? So I guess y'all have a lot of college fans out there too, right? So you got some memories though. What's some of your favorite memories from some of your concerts that you played? Is there something that stands out that you just think about all the time, or anything like that?
I'm basically always reeling in the last weekend.
Yeah.
I was just about to say we had a crazy weekend in Appleton, Wisconsin this past weekend, and that was a new high for us.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean it was a crowd of like 3,000 something people out there.
Oh wow.
It was insane. I'm not sure if we played a set with. I can't remember the last time we played in front of that many. We might have played in front of that many people at 420 Fest in Atlanta. But I don't think we've played in front of that many people in a while.
It was definitely an experience, that's for sure.
Yeah, we're still coming down.
Okay. Oh, all right. So it kind of got crazy, huh? Are fans different everywhere? I mean, do you have some places that you like to play more so than others, or is there a place you want to play?
Yeah, I mean fans are different everywhere. And we really like. I mean, I feel like our main pockets are Georgia and Virginia. Those two states have always been really good to us. DC was great, has always been good to us. Atlanta's always been good. Those two towns have always been awesome.
And do y'all play around here, or around like the Gulf Coast area? How many times have you played around this area?
Oh yeah, we cut our teeth down at the Floribama for years.
Cool, awesome. Yeah, that's. And does that you ever look back at those moments and go, do you ever kind of travel back to some of these places that you first played at and go, I remember when, or and check out some of the bands maybe that are kind of coming up.
Oh yeah, through social media, and my family still lives in South Alabama, so we go down to the Gulf on vacation every year, and I try to make it over there and at least ride by when I can.
And the album, if you had an overall summary of this album, what would you say was, the title is Sinners and Saints. So how did you come up with that title, and what do you think about the album?
Well, it's the album name is the title track is called Sinners and Saints, and that's Danny's another one of those songs where Danny wrote the lyrics. It's like a country song, and I wrote like this soul-based kind of Fleetwood Mac type riff underneath it, and it was just like, I don't think we had a name for that song. I think it was going to be called "Gonna Get Mine," and then as soon as I heard Danny sing, I grew up with the Sinners and Saints, so I was like, well, that's the line. Like, Sinners and Saints is the name of the song. And then a couple weeks later, we were like, well, that's the name of the record. And then later on, we were like, well, what does it all mean? What do these songs all mean together? And it's like, I feel like we're kind of redefining ourselves as this record. Like, we are the Vegabonds, but for the next year and a half or 2 years, we're really Sinners and Saints, and we always have been Sinners and Saints.
Right? Aren't we all?
Yeah, exactly. And I kind of look at it like sonically, like we have our Sinner songs, like Juke and Jive and Burnout, like straight rowdy, and then we have the Saints songs that are a little more like uplifting and innocent, like Heartache and Can't Deal and the title track. It's just kind of that duality. And it took us a second to kind of realize all that, right, after the fact. So we're just kind of creating as we go, just making songs, and then we're just kind of clicked like, oh, this is what this all is now.
Right. And so whenever I guess, like you said, they're listening to the songs and they're relating to these songs, and is that what do you think? When you hear, like you said earlier, about the people hearing these songs, is that what makes you think that makes you proud of an album? At what point when you finish an album in the process do you go, okay, I'm really happy now? Is it selling so many, or now these days you're streaming so many? Is it the concerts? Is it the feedback? What's the thing that sticks out?
I feel like we've been celebrating this album since we finished it. Like, it's not out yet, but as soon as we finished that studio, those last studio dates in March, that was it. For me, like, that was just like finishing the record.
Yep, I have to agree.
Yeah,
I have to agree. Once we get the masters back from the studio and everybody's happy with how it sounds, I think that's the celebration for us, because we can't control what people are going to think or if they're going to like it or not, but we like it, and we're proud of what we did.
There you go. I guess that's a cool experience, though. Like, if you're listening to it like in the car or truck or whatever, and just turning it up and going, you know what, that sounds pretty good. If it puts a smile on your face. Oh yeah, right?
We had several backyard mixed down parties.
There you go.
Making sure the guitar wasn't too loud, or this wasn't too loud, or that sounded good. Just kind of listening to the record. I'll have to say, I think we've all collectively listened to this record more than any one we've ever done before.
And y'all have a part. How do y'all, whenever they're mixing it and everything, do y'all have a hand? And whenever they're doing all that, do you go, there needs to be more of this or that, or how does that work? Do you have a help in that?
Oh yeah, it's usually just turn this up, turn this down, simple stuff.
Yeah, our producer Tom Tapley, he's really open with us. He wants us to be very involved because he's smart enough to know that's how you get the best out of people. You know, a lot of producers wouldn't do that. It would be my way or the
Oh
highway.
yeah,
But
right.
Tom's really good at what he does, and he's a people person, and he's a killer producer.
Awesome. And does he ever? I mean, I know a lot of producers in when they're mixing and everything, they'll go back and say you need to change this. Was there any of that? Did he ever go? I think this needs to be fixed, or this needs to be different, or did he do any of that?
Yeah, he'll send us a lot of mixes of each song, and we kind of critique it, and he does as well. He'll say, "Listen, I think it needs to have this," and we'll say, "Yeah, we agree," or "We disagree," or "Try this." So he spends his time on it.
Yeah, I mean, we have a pretty intense group chat that goes on for about a month or so, where we're just sending files back and forth through Dropbox, and we're really active in the group chat with him.
Are there a bunch of songs that didn't make the cut that that are out there and that you might finish later or release later?
Maybe. I mean, we probably wrote like 30 songs for this record, and we recorded like 20, and then we cut those 10, and now we got, pretty much about 10 songs. Like, I mean, we narrowed it down to the best third.
Yeah, we recorded more on this record than we ever have before.
Wow.
Which we also had the time to do it with the pandemic and everything.
Right.
But that was the plan from day one anyway. It just worked out to where it didn't really mess with our touring schedule.
And so what seems to be the favorite song that everybody gets excited about from this album so far, would you say?
I think it's still Heartache.
Yeah, I was going to say either Heartache or Can't Deal. Those are the latest two singles that we've released. And I think it's because it is that different sound that we're bringing on this record. It's new.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's new for us. That's a big thing. But it's not so new to where people are turned off. It's still us,
Right. We're not the Foo Fighters putting out a disco album.
Yeah, we're not Zach Brown putting out a jazz record.
Okay. Is that next? Are you going to do a disco album next? I'm just inquiring minds.
I mean,
never know.
We got Sinners and Saints is a disco beat. Like we do have disco beats on this record, but it's still us. Like it's still inherently Southern. It's still rock and roll.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's what it's all about, It's just, I guess, it's just being you and giving people, part of you and what your music is, And how cool is it though to be playing in front of all these people and they know your lyrics? They're singing it word for word. Is that cool?
Oh yeah, it's one of the best feelings. You see people sing along to words you came up with. I mean, that's one of the best feelings there is. I mean, it's amazing.
And where's the weirdest spot you ever wrote a song? Just throwing the weirdest spot you ever wrote a song.
I'm trying to think like a song that's on this or just any song. Any song. I don't know. I mean, I feel like we always have the wheels turning, I feel like me and Danny are always coming up with some phrase in our heads, like
that might be the weirdest place in our own heads.
Yeah, our own heads.
Hey, there you go. That's always my weirdest place. I'm just saying. That's like. I mean, you could randomly be somewhere though. You ever been like at a restaurant or something? You're like, hey, I think Sinners and Saints. I mean, just like you're eating a
Yeah.
sandwich and you're like,
Yeah.
I think I'll write a song. It just
I mean,
pops.
that happens all the time. It's not hard when you got a cell phone in your pocket and you just got to make one note or two notes.
Right. Yeah.
It can be these days. It can be very passive. You can just be kind of going about your day, and you got an electronic notepad in your pocket that's going to remember everything.
That's it.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's great. I mean, technology is great in that way. It ain't like the old days. You're trying to find a piece of paper or something, trying to remember, or trying to remember the lyrics, and then, yeah, and yeah. Have you ever done that though? Have you ever been somewhere maybe you didn't have your phone or something, and you had an idea, and it kind of went away?
Yeah, but like my motto has always kind of been, if it's good enough, it'll come back. If I forgot it, it's probably worth forgetting.
And then you remember it, and it's a Jackson Brown song.
Yeah, that's usually what happens.
I think Tom Petty. I think he sued the guy. What's the guy's name that had the?
Oh, Sam Smith.
Yes, and it sounded like I Won't Back Down, of course. So maybe, would that be an honor if you did do that? If you recorded like a little riff, Jackson Brown, and he goes, "Man, you freaking stole my song," and he, thanks, man.
I would just
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I think it'd be great for us.
Yeah. Maybe you should do it on purpose, and that you just totally rip him off, and then he goes, "That's my song." Yep, and then let's go on tour or something. Let's have lunch or something.
Yeah, I've seen that happen where people they clip samples from something and then they get sued, but it's a big deal in the press, and then
right, maybe you can work
out.
Yeah, you work it out behind the scenes and make it look like it happened like that, and then it becomes famous.
Oh yeah.
See, there you go.
Or you can always start a fake beef with another band.
Yeah,
that's always a good one.
That's it. I'm getting ideas right now. That's pretty good. Are there some people that y'all really want to play with that you'd love to go on tour with that's been on your mind?
I mean, yeah, there are. I mean, especially like a few years ago, but like these days, I mean, we're really about like we're really working to be a headliner. I mean, that's where we want to be. That's where we're trying to get to, and it's like. Yeah, and there's we can name 100 people we'd love to tour with, but I mean, we're really working hard to be our own thing.
Well, yeah. Well, I appreciate y'all hanging out with me and talking about. You had some good topics here, but once again, the album, Sinners and Saints, coming out September 24th, and I think you're playing. Is it Montana this weekend? You said.
Yeah,
flying out tomorrow.
And you got some more dates coming up, I think, in September. And maybe the pandemic yuck stuff won't affect anything, right? And maybe you'll keep going and have more dates, and everybody can get to see y'all out there, right?
For sure.
We're hoping.
Well, I appreciate y'all hanging out with me and talking, and I'm excited for y'all, and I'm hoping the best for y'all. And here's to a great year for y'all and some great shows, and maybe a lot of the fans and new fans will be out there listening to your new album.
Appreciate it, Gary. Nice to talk to you, man.
Yes.
Yeah, thanks, Gary.
Thanks to y'all. Thank you, Danny and Bo. And y'all take care. I'll be seeing you out there somewhere.
All right, sounds good, man. Thanks.
All right, bye.
See you soon. Bye.